Hi, I'm Roger Sadowsky. I wanted to take this opportunity to talk a bit about the Sadowski preamp and specifically the slightly different preamp in the Will Lee model. The Sadowski preamp has always been a treble and bass boost-only circuit, and this is because it's based on transistors as opposed to what's also known as op-amps. Now, I don't want to get too technical, but transistors in the solid-state world are almost like the equivalent of tubes. And with a transistor circuit like mine, if you change the mid-range, you also change the treble and bass. So you can't manipulate the mid-range independently. Now, one of the successes of the Sadowski preamp, and I mean by success the acceptance of it amongst players and front-of-house soundmen and recording engineers, is it sits just beautifully in the mix. The biggest compliment I can get is from front-of-house soundmen or engineers telling me that they don't have to touch anything on the board when they're dealing with a player with a Sadowski bass. Will Lee, for a long time, when we started prototyping his model back in 2008, he did want something that he described as more punch. And I tried to address it with pickup windings, I tried to address it with wood choices, and he still wasn't hearing what he wanted to hear. So I knew if we had to boost some mid-range that it had to become an op-amp circuit. And I had several prototypes made, and Will kept saying, "It doesn't sound like my bass. It doesn't sound like my bass." So that's when I realized we had to keep the original Sadowski treble bass transistor preamp and piggyback a separate mid boost on top of that. So on the Will Lee bass, we have this little switch here. And in this position away from the player, the preamp is the total regular normal Sadowski preamp, treble boost, and bass boost. When you flick the switch closer to the neck, it engages the mid boost. Now, Will didn't want an extra knob. He wanted to keep things simple, and he wanted the settings to be musical. There are honestly settings in mid-range, if you overboost mids, that the bass loses its ability to sit well in the track. And I've heard this many times live as well, that with too much mid-range, the bass gets lost. So what we did with Will, we made it frequency selectable. So on this switch here, we have four choices. The first one is 500 hertz with a narrow band. The second one is 500 hertz with a wide band. Then we have 800 narrow and we have 800 wide. You just have to use your own ear and decide which helps you get the sound that you prefer, the sound you have in your head. Will's preferred setting is number 2 up, which is the 500 wide. Now you only want one switch up at a time. You don't want to combine more than one. Play with all of them, listen to all of them, and you'll know for yourself which is your preferred sound. Then we have 2 Trimpots here. If we just engage the mid at full volume, the whole bass would get louder. And so some of you may want that, but some of you may want the gain to be the same without the mid boost or with the mid boost. So we have 2 Trimpots here, and one Trimpot sets the amount of mid boost. And personally, I set that one full up. But again, use your own ears. The other Trimpot sets the overall gain of the bass when the mid boost is engaged. You can either have the whole bass get a little bit louder with the mid engaged, or you can keep the volume the same, or you can even make it lower if you chose to. We wanted you to have as much versatility with the settings as you can. So I hope this has helped you understand the Will Lee preamp and why it's different from the other models. There are plenty of videos on our YouTube channel demonstrating the Will Lee bass. So do some exploration. Enjoy the Sadowski sound, the Sadowski bass. Roger Sadowski, signing off.